In Venezuela, the third day of the 2025 International Telecommunications Fair, FITELVEN, came to an end this Sunday. Brazilians took to the streets nationwide to protest against a parliamentary initiative that seeks to give former President Jair Bolsonaro immunity, even after having been found guilty of attempted coup against Lula da Silva. The government of Portugal, United Kingdom, Canada and Australia have officially recognized Palestine as an independent state in the context of the United Nations General Assembly. Hello, welcome to From the South. My name is Sophie Fernandez from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, the third day of the 2025 International Telecommunications Fair, FITELVEN, has come to an end, with the participation of national and international business leaders. Details with our correspondent Ana Marrero.
Marked the final date of the third edition of the International Telecommunications Fair of Venezuela. The event showcased the country's technological powers at the Polígono de Caracas Exhibition Center.
Our company, Sumac Navigator, is a Chinese government company. We are the best 100 enterprise all over the world. And for us, the Navigator brand, we are the manufacturer for all the fiber cables and for the all the equipment for the telecommunication. For me, this is my second time to join this FITELVEN. It's impressive. We have attended many shows all over the world, but this is the best show for us. We can see many activities and many people here. For me, I think it's a future for our company and for all the people here to the telecommunication.
With more than 130 participating companies, visitors will be able to experience firsthand and for the last day at this event developments in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, 5G technology, and fiber optics.
NDC is a company that has been based at FITELVEN for the last 4 years, where it undertook its first project with CanTV, supplying everything needed to install 10,000 ports throughout Venezuela. In addition, its second project was based on DWDM technology, which will integrate 43 pieces of equipment that will be located in the major central offices throughout Venezuela. We are also the founders of the first fiber optic factory located in Mar in the state of La Guaira.
The 2025 Venezuela International Telecommunications Fair made significant contributions to the country's economic development by exposing in exhibition companies at the strategic center of national growth. The event serves as a platform for showcasing technological advances, promoting investment, and strengthening digital infrastructure.
All right, so BST is a company that have at least 15 years here in Venezuela. We have been working with telecom service around the whole country. We work for different providers here in Venezuela. Our main product is about service, implementation, includes everything about deployment for telecom. This is our second time here in FITELVEN convention. We're hoping to be here the next week. So we are offering different type of products from personal equipment for works to, so we offer everything from the EPPs, so you can work in every type of company, to backup equipments, all the solutions for the backup equipments. We also provide FTT equipment such as OTDR, of optical fibers, patch cord, everything that is needed for the ISPs here in Venezuela.
The closing ceremony of this event took place in an atmosphere of joy and happiness, enjoyed by both exhibitors and visitors to the fair. FITELVEN continues to prove that it is an innovative initiative and a great bridge for bringing the entire field of technology closer to the Venezuelan people. Ana Marrero, camera off, German Medina. teleSUR, Venezuela.
In other news, the Venezuelan Armed Forces offered on Sunday the balance of the Barracks Go to the People Day, which showcased the people's commitment to the defense of the nation's sovereignty. Precisely, the Minister of Defense of the South Bolivarian country, Vladimir Perlino Lopez, gave us an assessment of the progress of the exercise that was carried out on September 20th, as part of the ongoing military training of the people in defense of the sovereignty and peace of the homeland. Padrino assured the operation was a solid step in the consolidation of the country's popular military thinking. Similarly, the authority praised the unity between the armed forces and the people, which allows them to strengthen the defense of the nation against any threat of foreign invasion.
People were telling me on the street that feeling the armed forces present there, in their workplaces, in their places where they live, was a wonderful experience. And we were also able to see the handover of weapons to the Bolivarian militia in all the squares. Handover of weapons. The weapons of the people.
En todas las plazas, entrega de armas, las armas del pueblo.
In this sense, the Venezuelan Defense Ministry announced Cooperation Cumanagoto 200 in the state of Sucre.
Ahora, también siguiendo las instrucciones de nuestro comandante en jefe.
From now on, also following the instructions of our commander-in-chief, we are going to the state of Sucre. To the state of Sucre. With its 15 municipalities, we can see the image there, dividing the state of Sucre into 4 quadrants. 60 rapid response units will occupy the territory of the 15 municipalities of that state, to scan, to survey, to clear the area. We must remember that from Trinidad and Tobago, there is a lot of fuel smuggling, weapons smuggling, ammunition smuggling, and a lot of human trafficking. All of this occurs there, in that axis between Macuro, La Punta, and Trinidad and Tobago. So we are going there to eliminate any terrorist gang, any drug trafficking gang, that is operating illegally in that territory.
And now we have a short break. But before, we leave you with some images of Venezuela's militias deployed in defense of the nation's sovereignty against any threat of foreign invasion. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
La patria en pie con fuego en la mirada, Venezuela invicta, su suelo no se profana. Yanquis go on, fuera de mi tierra. Aquí hay un pueblo que nunca se encierra. Con fusil en mano y corazón valiente, defenderemos la patria firmes y de frente. Los cuarteles van al pueblo, la unión es real. Fusión cívico-militar, un poder sin igual. Con 5.300...
Massive protests took place in Brazil this Saturday against 2 recent unentertained moves by the far right in Congress. Our correspondent Brian Meir has more details.
Hundreds of thousands of Brazilians came out to the streets in over 20 cities this Sunday to push back against 2 recent maneuvers by the Bolsonarista far right in National Congress, in what many are calling the largest street protests to take place in the country since 2019. The protests were triggered by events on September 17th, when the majority conservative lower house of Congress ratified 2 constitutional amendments.
Thousands of workers are on the streets today because this constitutional amendment, which we call the Banditry Amendment, is unacceptable. For those who don't know about it, it's a bill that, if it passes the Senate, it means that lawmakers who murder, rob, rape, or associate with organized crime can no longer be investigated without congressional approval. On top of this, there is an amendment for amnesty for the coup plotters. Those people were convicted, and Congress is trying to take arbitrary action of giving them amnesty.
Both amendments still have to be ratified by the Senate and approved by the Supreme Court. Senate leaders have indicated that in their current format, neither will pass. Instead, conservatives in Senate seem to want to use the threat of amnesty to lower sentences for ex-President Bolsonaro and his cronies. Nevertheless, the message was clear on the streets this Sunday.
The United Federation of Petroleum Workers is on the streets today across the country. Here we Recife and all over Brazil to denounce the barbarianism that is being perpetrated by federal deputies in our National Congress.
If brought to a floor vote, both amendments will need 49 of the 81 total votes in the Senate to pass. Brian Mir, teleSUR, Recife.
For the second day in a row, the citizens of Peru took to the streets to protest against the government of President Dina Boluarte and Congress. San Martin Square was the epicenter of this massive day of action, led by thousands of students, social groups and popular organizations, who expressed their rejection of the political system that supports Boluarte's administration. The protesters demanded structural changes in the government model and denounced the political instability the country is experiencing. The protesters managed to break through the security cordon, which led to clashes as government forces attempted to disperse the crowd using rubber bullets and tear gas. In Indonesia, the Lewotokilaki volcano, located in the Flores Island, east of the country, has erupted several times since Friday night, prompting authorities to raise the alert level to Category 4. Volcanic activity has continued with new explosions and a 2.5-kilometer column of ash and smoke, leading to a preemptive evacuation and restricted access around the crater due to the risks of landslides. The France Serra Airport has been temporarily closed, while the Bali International Airport continues to operate normally. Residents and tourists have been urged to pay attention to official reports and to follow safety instructions. Moving on to the Philippines, hundreds of thousands of people sought shelter in schools and evacuation centers in the north of the country due to heavy rains and strong winds caused by Super Typhoon Haragasa. The weather phenomenon is hitting the northern region of the archipelago, rapidly gaining intensity and expected to make landfall this Monday somewhere in the Asian nation. Authorities in 29 provinces, including the Manila region, confirmed that schools will remain closed as a precautionary measure, as the risk includes severe flooding and landslides, among other problems that are difficult to deal with given this country's weak infrastructure. Also in the Philippines, thousands of people gathered in the streets to condemn a corruption scandal involving several government officials. The protests took place near the presidential palace, where those present clashed with the Philippine police, who arrested 17 people. Amid the altercation, about 100 people were attacked with tear gas as part of the security forces' efforts to disperse the protest. Over alleged corruption involving legislators, public officials, and business people accused of appropriating large sums of money intended for flood control projects. In other news, on Sunday afternoon, the counting of votes began in some polling stations in Guinea-Conakry, following the referendum of a draft constitution that could allow the leader of the country's military board to run for president. Nearly 7 million Guineans were called to the polls amid calls from the opposition for a boycott, as they consider the process an attempt by the military board to legitimize its actions in the face of increasing repression against critics and activists. The head of the electoral dictatorate, Denyabu Toure Camara, praised the mobilization and civic spirits of the citizens and described the process as a highlight in the country's democratic history. And now we have a second short break coming up. But before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break coming, don't go away. Welcome back. The governments of Portugal, United Kingdom, Canada and Australia have officially recognized Palestine as an independent state in the context of the United Nations General Assembly that will take place from September 23rd. The decision made the number of countries recognizing the statehood of Palestine rise to more than 150. The prime ministers of the four nations released statements backing their decision, which had been warned about weeks earlier. The move comes one day before the start of the 80th section of the United Nations General Assembly, where Palestinian sovereignty after decades of occupation and apartheid by Israel will be in focus.
I set out in July the terms upon which we would act in line with our manifesto to recognise Palestinian statehood. That moment has now arrived. So today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognises the State of Palestine.
Meanwhile, in France, hundreds of protesters took part in a march in Paris on Sunday, organized by a coalition of left-wing parties to reaffirm their support for the Palestinian people. This comes on the eve of the opening of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, where France is expected to announce its recognition of the State of Palestine. The National Secretary of the Green Party, Marine Tondelier, upheld the decision, but said it was too late since Palestine has become a cemetery due to the destruction of Gaza. The United Kingdom, Australia, Canada and Portugal recognized Palestine on September 21st, making the United Kingdom and Canada the first G7 members to take this step. France and several European countries are expected to follow suit at UN meetings. Israeli occupation forces stormed the campus of Be'er State University, north of Ramallah, in the center of the occupied West Bank, after smashing the university's outer doors. Israeli military vehicles stormed the vicinity of Beersheba and headed for Beersheba University, before smashing the outer gates of the university campus in preparation for storming the university through the east and west entrances. It should be noted that the occupation forces had raided the Beersheba campus on repeated occasions, had manipulated the contents of the student movement's storerooms, and had confiscated several flags and models used by the student blocs in their activities. Meanwhile, in Israel, a mental health crisis is plaguing the army in the midst of the war of extermination waged by the Zionist regime against the Palestinian people. Over 300 Israeli army soldiers raised their voices to condemn the deep mental health crisis affecting their troops, declaring their refusal to participate in the final offensive to occupy Gaza. In this regard, the entity's Ministry of Defense acknowledged that 56% of its more than 20,000 soldiers wounded in the Palestinian coastal enclave suffer from post-traumatic stress or other mental disorders. During testimony before a parliamentary committee, Israeli military personnel placed the psychiatric medications on the table, declaring themselves mentally ill. In other news, today marked the conclusion of the 22nd China ASEAN Expo, which was hosted in the Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region in the southern part of the country. The event saw the attendance of leaders from business councils of the 10 member states. 3,000 companies from 45 countries and regions attended the event and participated in the 5-day exhibition, in which they presented investment projects and trade agreements. The event was held under the slogan, "Digital intelligence drives development, innovation leads the future," and featured high-tech exhibits such as small medical care and drones. The number of visitors exceeded the 260,000, and the event served as a vital platform for China and the ASEAN countries to collaborate and achieve joint advancement. China inaugurated the 8th edition of the Shenyang International Youth Film Festival on Saturday, in the southeast of the country. The event had 5 themes, including presentations, talks, interventions, projections, and virtual reality experiences. The activity allowed many young people to fulfill their dreams and to present their cinematographic works. In addition, more than 100 filmmakers and industry experts participated. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Sophie Fernandez. Thank you for watching.